Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the simple and AI-powered rewards and recognition platform for employee engagement.
If you're interested in knowing about the current learning and development trends, the training delivery options, challenges, and the use of technology and analytics in L&D, and maybe you have already spent a lot of time trying to find out the greatest resources for information on these topics, but in vain, then you must listen to this quick yet quite informational podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. I'm your host Sushmita, and today I have with me Bhakti Eslavath, the Learning and Development Manager at Paradiso. Welcome to the show, Bhakti.
Thank you, Sushmita.
Thank you so much for joining me today in this Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. And would you like to brief us about your background a bit before we move on?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
My name is Bhakti Eslavath, as we all know, and I have been working in this industry for almost 10 plus years. However, I started my career as an application support executive, and I have worked through the L&D department, started as a mentor and a coach for the team first, and then SME role, and then into L&D. Currently with Paradiso, obviously, my role is into not just being the L&D department, but also to be the perspective for application and from the L&D point, and also turning that application into not just a software, but more like a complete L&D solution provider.
Right. Coming to the topic now, Bhakti, what exactly are L&D executives or managers today, expected to do within their roles in any organization?
Well, typically the trainers of L&D executives and managers are into training analysis, evaluation of the employees, filling the learning gaps, and creating learning solutions. However, currently that role is changing into mapping, not just for the employee growth plans, but mapping these learning and training initiatives to achieve those business goals and bridge that gap for employees' growth plan as well, so that everybody is aligned with organizational goals.
Yeah. So we also see ourselves, Bhakti, on social media, on LinkedIn especially, that we frequently agree to I don't know, it's a fact or it's a myth, that corporate L&D is stuck in some or the other way. For instance, like businesses are frequently, caught in a very compromising situation where they either lack the time or the resources to invest in, L&D, that is training. So how, in your opinion, can L&D teams catch up to the game? Like, is lack of planning and commitment the real hurdle? Because I have also, gone through studies that says that, getting the employees ready for the learning has been the biggest challenge for the talent development team.
Well, that's the good part about learning and development, because everybody is involved, not just the business, nor just the L&D department, but the employees as well. And of course, like you said, that there are multiple challenges. So we'll talk about both the challenges here. Yeah. One being that employees cannot make time for learning, right? And the second one being how L&D can catch up to the game, or, what's the going forward approach for this. So obviously, I totally agree that yes, sometimes it's very difficult for employees to make time for learning. There is a lot going on. They have their, operational goals, etc.
Yeah, the constant pressure of work.
Exactly. And then not just the pressure, but now, and like you mentioned rightly, so social media has made sure that our attention span has now reduced to those 30-second reels. You don't really have time to sit and focus for half an hour. Forget about me doing an entire day session for training. I can't even get you to sit with me for 2 hours sometimes, So that's a bigger challenge as well. And it's not, so obviously it is a trainer's or a instructor or a facilitator's job to make sure that those employees do pay attention in the class. However, the employees can only make time for learning when there is a culture within the organization to keep that learning approach all the time, right? To give them that time within the team, and the managers can obviously go ahead and keep insisting that, okay, you have to make some time every day to learn something new.
Mm.
And that learning can be through anything. And this is how L&D team can catch up. We know that the employees are busy. So we, through LMS or our intranet portals and integration between the two, can make sure that our learning experience is from the platform, which is infused with micro learning nuggets, and it's learning on the go. And then there is peer-to-peer learning feature within the team, because the manager knows what is the better gap between the learning gap between the team and within the team members, etc. So they can guide and they can give that space for improvement. And the efforts are going to be on both sides. One, the employees have to be encouraged and take that initiative from themselves to start learning. And you can use LMS platforms like Paradiso to include these learning bits, where we have learning on the go, micro learning nuggets, and peer-to-peer learning. And that's how we can bridge that gap.
Yeah, so that are some of the ways that HR can offer, opportunities, learning opportunities to the employees that will capture their interest and give them the skills, necessary to be successful.
Absolutely. So, and obviously there is no one size fits all, right? Each department is different, each team is different, and at the same level, at each person is different as well. So we definitely look, and I have seen this change coming through in HR as well. Nowadays, they also look for, adaptation capabilities and being able to accept that change with, when they call it millennials, Zennials. Yeah. So all those new generations, the one thing that we want to know is that how much curiosity they have. And when they have curiosity, it automatically becomes the seed for learning. And that's when HR can offer so whatever opportunities HR is offering, it will be absorbed by the employees as well, in terms of their growth plan, to know what they are doing, what they're not doing. And that's how HR can support the L&D department as well.
Yeah. So would you like to elaborate on how many ways or what ways have L&D, changed over the past few years?
Absolutely. The world has moved literally upside down in L&D, and that has been initially when I started working as well, and that was just 10, 12 years ago in L&D department, we majorly had top-down approach. So we would design the programs and we would just download it, and then we just keep downloading the sense. We just keep sharing the knowledge. The sessions used to be 5 days, 8 days, 20 days long. And then sometimes we would have trainings which are certain sessions, but in that we would be sharing the knowledge, and then and that's the top-down approach. So basically we would be sharing the knowledge, and they would always be absorbing. But now the current trend is bottom up. So now we know that from the bottomest level of employees, we get to know what they want to learn next, where they want to grow next. And that is how L&D is now aligning those learning sessions along with the business goals as well. Same, and then there is one more which is very new and kind of helping for organization, is the middle out approach. And that middle out approach means that L&D will be just the part of the facilitation and guiding path for these people. But basically, these are the people who are SMEs, managers, and subject matter experts, who are then going out and using the platforms like LMS or LXP and sharing their knowledge through these trainings and mentoring sessions, right? And not because nobody has time to sit and do it, so they can record it, upload their sessions, and then anybody who's interested in learning that part,
they have the time.
Whenever they have time, exactly. So creating those courses within those departments and then sharing that knowledge. So I don't have to wait when my L&D department is going to come up with this training, I will learn this technology or skill. You don't have to wait for that. You can do it within your team itself. So that's how much L&D has changed.
And I'm sure that technology and analytics plays a huge role in, driving the reinvention and having a bigger impact across the entire organization, right? And Paradiso is such a good example when we talk about technology and analytics, I guess.
I think so. Because the technology and analytics part has not left any part of our life untouched. Everyone has to have access to knowledge, and that's what Paradiso also believes in.
Yeah.
Where a workplace culture that promotes, within a company, a workplace culture that promotes knowledge and sharing is what going to foster a culture where everybody will collaborate, exchange ideas, and achieve business goals together. So that's where technology and analytics is a huge part of this.
Yeah.
The LMSs now can actually help you create learning paths where you can where L&D can give them a certain career growth path or learning path where they can choose and see which course to take next. Similarly, we have skill gap analysis, which we used to do earlier manually. Now technology helps us to use that through the LMS, where we can see how the performance is, what they are learning, how much they are learning, where this person wants to grow. So not just a person, but I can definitely make sure that my workforce entirely is well educated and it has knowledge
updated.
That they require to complete. Yeah. And they are updated. Yes. Yeah. So that's where it is. And analytics always helps you in that.
Yeah.
So LMSs are very important part of L&D now.
Yeah. And what is that one aspect of the L&D function that has to change in order to be relevant in the changing future? Just maybe we can talk about just 2023.
Right. So one thing that we really want to see in the coming future is the change of mindset between the business stakeholders and L&D department, because L&D is no more just a learning and development, right? They are the agent of transformations, literally the torch bearers. Yeah. And they can bring in these transformations within people, processes, business. We are all going to look at future. So majorly, the strategic alignment that is required in L&D can be in partnership with the CXOs and the L&D team. And if both of them know where their business goals are, and if they align the strategy for business as well as L&D together, obviously the change will be visible in terms of ROI, in terms of results, in terms of customer service, product quality, everything. And that change will only come through when L&D is a important part of those business strategies.
Yeah, and also, Bhakti, I think rewards and recognition can also enhance the very core of learning and development function.
Absolutely, because as per psychology as well, that every time you learn something, if you have been given a certain appreciation, reward or recognition of it, you tend to do that again and again and form it into a habit. And that's what LMS does nowadays. So Paradiso has this reward recognition and competitions and as a part of LMS function itself. So we can launch these small competitions within the team, within the department, and at the organizational level. And constant reward and recognition means that you are keeping the learning wheel going. So everybody wants to learn something new, something next all the time. And that's how reward and recognitions will place a huge, motivational factor within the employees to keep that time for training.
Yes. Yeah. Very well said, Bhakti. So finally, moving on to the final question. Any your final thoughts after this conversation?
Sure, absolutely. So what I believe in person, in my personal opinion as well, that every business is set to achieve certain business goals. Right. And there, first of all, of course, there has to be a very clear path of action and plan. And the CXOs are always looking at the business plans and business goals and where, and ROI is also very important to them, of course. And if the CXOs involve the L&D team from very early on in these initiatives and in these business strategies. Obviously, the L&D team in any organization can bring in that change and transformation, behavioral changes, etc. And LMS will play equally important part for them as a tool to see those changes coming through, right?
Yeah.
So the L&D department, of course, is responsible to manage this knowledge sharing and upskilling people. And ultimately, this will accelerate the transformation, starting with people and then moving towards the organization and achieving their business goals faster and better than the entire competition in the market all over, right? So that's with that, I would probably close this conversation today.
Yeah, sure. So before logging out, would like to know how our listeners can reach out to you, Bhakti.
So my LinkedIn is always available, and we also have Paradiso learning forums on Facebook as well as on LinkedIn, and they can reach out to me there. So my name is, again, I would say it loud. So Bhakti Eslavath is my name, and you can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Sure, I'll link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes, Bhakti.
Please.
That was an amazing session, Bhakti, and we are honored to have you onboarded in this podcast session today. Thank you so much for your time and your expert knowledge that you shared. We hope to meet you soon again. Till then, take care and have a nice day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you to Vantage Circle as well for inviting me. I really had a great time this morning. And I'm glad you have these initiatives where you do so many podcasts which are very helpful, not just in one particular field, but you're talking to industry leaders and everyone.
Yes.
So absolutely.
Thank you for the appreciation, Bhakti.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks
for the honor.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.